Yeah, here we go for the 100th time. Alice and Bbbos are in the line, throwing them up and letting something shine. Going out of their fucking mind. They got a filthy mouth, but there's no excuse. Finding a new place to hang this noose, stringing it up from atop these roofs, but they knotted tight so you won't get loose. The truth is you can stop and stare, bleed yourself out but no one cares. Dug the trench out and lay down there with a shovel up out to reach somewhere. Yeah, someone came along and said pour it in, make it a dirt dance floor again. Say your prayers and stomp it out cause this game is about to begin. So we got a game today on the wonderful Caldaris Desert, and I don't know how long I'm actually going to be able to keep up this voice for, or if it sounds in any way realistic or natural. Regardless, we see a pretty conventional build so far from the players. We're seeing one Slugger Boy from Alice and double Guardsman into a Sentinel. Interesting to not go for the Sentinel first in this instance, personally, as an Imperial Guard main. In a 1v1, I think going for the Sentinel first is very good against races in which you can bleed the opponent. I think that the Slugger Boys are definitely a race that you can bleed the opponent in. So I personally would go for the Sentinel first, and in an instance, like a 3v3 or a team game, when I get the Sentinel after my double Guardsman, I still find it quite necessary to rebind my hotkeys in order to make them a little bit more conventional for how I play. I can't have a Sentinel that's on maybe, let's say 4 as the hotkey. That'd be absolutely fucking bonkers. Not something that I can do. But as we can see, the Sentinel is exerting a lot of pressure on the Orc Boys, and these Slugger Boys are going to promptly need to evacuate this area or they're going to be absolutely massacred. It turns out, however, they get the decap, which is what they came for, only at the loss of one boy. And let's face it, guys, that's an Orc boy. Nobody's going to be crying over that fungus tonight. Who gives a shite? Regardless, the Sentinel is continuing to pressure up on the side, but the Shooter Boys have cover, ample cover at that. They're not the largest of our boys. Remember, they're only boys, they ain't no knobs. So these... what even are these? These are... some... oh my good lord, they move! They bloody move! Lord General, execute it! What is this plant? Moving on the middle of the battlefield like that? It's approximately the height of a fucking stormtrooper. You've got a 6-foot, blurry-ass looking plant that moves. I would purge it with fire, if I do say so myself. Wow, this is really intensive on one's voice. Okay, let's see what's going on then. Back to normal because I can't maintain that voice any longer. It's extremely intensive. We have Storm Boys against IG. That is really interesting. I know that Piano, or Alice in other words, really does like his Storm Boys. I've been seeing him in the league getting them a lot. This game, by the way, is from 2.9.1, so it's before the Elite League. It's from the patch prior to it. I mean, the power melee is certainly going to be quite effective on the Sentinel. It can't stop moving. The Guardsman repairs will get, well, very easily out DPS in this instance, and in fact, because the Stomp's already been used, that's it, the Sentinel is dead. Storm Boys are an interesting choice. I don't think they're particularly great. I'd get looters, but he's got rid of the Sentinel, which is one of the primary counters to the Storm Boys, and he's not against the Inquisitor or the Lord Commissar, rather, he's against the Lord General, who is naturally the most vulnerable of all of the IG heroes against melee squads. My game just tabbed out due to a notification there. Sorry about that, guys. Anyhow, we see the one shooter knob coming out. This is pretty conventional for the shooter meta. It was always traditional to go for 2 big shooters and 1 knob. So the 2 big shooters give you the double aiming what's that, which has a lot of utility. And in addition to that, just gives you the extra range and the high DPS. But then you have the shooter knob, A, for detection purposes, but B, because it gives you sustainability on that one squad so it doesn't bleed. So then you put the squad with the shooter knob at the front and then the other squad without it behind them. And because of the extra range, shooters, big shooters, I think, have 42 range, whereas normal ranged weapons are 38. So because of that extra range, the squad at the back can still contribute without bleeding. But in this case, we see a massive investment of 2 big shooters, 2 shooter knobs. Full gens up for Alice. We only see the 2nd gen coming up now for Bbbos, but that is to be expected given the fact that, oh, he was going for double Cadishans, but he seems to have cancelled the 2nd one in favour of a heavy weapons team, which is not a bad shout. At least in Tier 1, I think the heavy weapons team is very, very good against Orcs. My only concern is that the Weird Boy or Stick Bombers in Tier 2 combined with the Storm Boys and their ability Bomber Boys, it's going to cause the heavy weapons team a lot of bother. That said, things like Stick Bombers and the Weird Boy can be countered by getting the shield so you're not knocked over, and then getting the Sergeant on your Lord General to give them medikits so that the splash damage is very much negated by a prompt medipack. I feel like the heavy weapons team probably wants to be a little bit more forward. If someone was capping on that side, even if they could shoot at them, they probably wouldn't suppress them, and even if they did, they would incur absolutely trivial amounts of damage with the enemy. Let's look at the economies at the moment. So, roughly equal in power, however Bbbos is a generator down, which means that he's only getting 49 instead of, well, actually he's getting 10 less power basically than he should be. There must be a difference in the node captures that explains the power differential so far. In fact, no, not at all. He's got the 3rd gen. What am I talking about? He's got the 3rd gen, so the only difference is that Piano has this power node here, which is giving him +5. These guys will need to get out of there. They're in a real spot of bother. They do, though. He reacts in time. And not only that, that was a beautiful combination of the old reliable into a heavy weapon team heavy bolter, forcing off both of these shooter squads in spite of the massive amount of investment that Piano has put in them. Piano is the first one to go to Tier 2, however Bbbos could actually start to go to Tier 2 now, so if he's paying attention, he's going to not be far behind, and he's not far behind. You're talking a matter of, what, 6 or so seconds. Another Slugger Boy goes down, slowly starting to put that bleed on. Might be worth dropping some IEDs on this far side, because you're going to assume that the Shooter Boys are going to want to blob. I feel like these Shooter Boys, on their own, they're mediocre, but when you double them up, the range DPS just becomes absolutely overwhelming, and they become significantly stronger. There's some sort of force multiplier sort of effect with the Shooter Boys. For that reason, one would expect that the Shooter Boys would be coming down here, or coming down here. That is to say, not around the requisition point here, not around the requisition point here. So primed places for IED positioning. We see the Sergeant coming up at last, which is great. And the Storm Boys have to jump in on the heavy weapons team, because it was set up and he charged face on into it, which means they're not jumping onto the Cadishans, which means they can get some nice DPS in and potentially explosive shot the Storm Boys and then melee them, which would be pretty brutal. Of course, the Storm Boys become a lot more effective against IG in Tier 2 once they get the Storm Boy Knob. The Storm Boy Knob will be proccing lots of specials against the Cadishans, sending them flying, making them a lot less effective in melee against them. And also, when they land, they're going to stun the enemy unit, so you can combine the jump with a stun, and then throw your stick bombs on the heavy weapons team and retreat your Storm Boys. You don't want to stick your Storm Boys, obviously. And you can get a lot of damage in. They can't really dodge it, even if they're moving and not set up. So that's always something to consider. Also, the Bomber Boys upgrade, well, the improved rocket packs, shooty infantry upgrade. It's really nice for 2 reasons. A, obviously it gives you Bomber Boys, which is fantastic. AoE on-demand knockback ability for the price of 1 Storm Boy, which is often well worth it. But what a lot of people do not account for, and I think makes the improved rocket packs worth buying no matter what, it improves the range of your jump. Man, look at the shooter DPS coming in this Lord General. He's not actually in cover. Looking not to lose the Sergeant there. Oh, fuck me. I cursed him. The curse of Indrid is becoming the curse of Torpid. Does lose the Sergeant, and with the Storm Boy Knob and a truck, he needs to get the hell out of there. Oh my god. I'm not sure that was worth the Bomber Boys, but there we go. It might have killed a model. Interestingly, the Slugger Boys are not going for the bash, they're going for a decap. Look at the damage from the burners, man. Yeah, the burner boy got rather punished, though. But yeah, the timing push from the Orcs, man, with the War Shock, it's brutal. it comes out so fast, and then they get their knobs on the melee squads, and suddenly what was hard enough to deal with in Tier 1 is just becoming cancerously hard to fight. I've had a lot of experience with this myself in the Orc versus Space Marine matchup. We see an autocannon. I think that's a pretty good choice. Effective against the blobs and masses of Orc infantry. Slaughtering the fungal Xenos, as they should be. Bit unlucky there for the knockback not to actually knock over the Slugger Boy. I'm not sure why it didn't. It didn't look like they were in combat. But he's alright. He escapes without losing the squad, only just. A couple more swings, maybe even one more swing would have done it due to the die last mechanic. So we see the Stormtroopers. I think that's a pretty cool choice. Very conventional so far from Bbbos' end, playing as the Lord General. The only thing, of course, that he's missing at the moment is the goddamn Chimera. But Alice is missing his tank busters. So, if we're going to make any oh, Bomber Boys. I love seeing Bomber Boys. Nice snipe on the Storm Boy knob, though, with the fucking grenade. Jesus. Bbbos is probably happy with that pick. Alice laughing nervously, I think. I mean, you either laugh or you cry, right? You either laugh or you cry. But we don't really see any AV. I mean, there's not even a Sergeant on the Kadashan Devils. We see yeah, okay, the Lord General is getting the melt guns, which is okay, I guess, but I suppose with the Sergeant on the Kadashans, that should be sufficient AV. Oh, wow, that was a really sloppy usage of the war truck then. To be honest, by all rights, he ought to have lost it there, but the Lord General was a little bit slow to react, so Piano is kind of let off scot-free for this one. I'm trying to bait the shooter boys into the autocannon, but Piano is privy to that. And Piano does have a lack of VPs. Well, he has fewer VPs than Bbbos, but he's still got plenty to play with. 300 VPs is not a small amount. And the problem that I see here for Bbbos is that, oh, he's going for plays, man. He was a little bit too late on that grenade, but he was trying to old reliable into a grenade. Generally, you'd have to throw the grenade first, and then the enemy sees it, predicts it, and they're like, oh, that's easy, I'll just dodge the grenade. And then you hit them with the old reliable, which they can't dodge if you aim it correctly because it travels too quick. And then it's a guaranteed grenade and old reliable, which can be pretty brutal. And then when they retreat, and all that splash damage has left them with high models but low health, well, you just creep and Basilisk barrage them on retreat just to add a little bit of salt to the wound, you know? Slugger Boy's been a pain and decapping and capping all on this side. The problem with the Slugger Boys, from Bbbos' perspective, is he can't really beat them with anything. Even the Kadashans at this point in Tier 2 are going to lose 1v1 because they're just going to activate Swamp them and take so little in range damage, and then once they get in melee, the Slugger Knob himself is just going to proc a few specials, and that's going to be the end of the Kadashans. So he has to dedicate multiple units if he wants to compete with them. He can use the Stormtroopers, and that's probably the best bet, just to sort of pick away at them from afar, but of course, all Piano has to do is A-move in the general direction of the Stormtroopers, and the Stormtroopers are going to get caught like this, and that's it, they've got to retreat. So Bbbos constantly is having to dedicate his micro and his attention to the main fight over here, but in order for the Stormtrooper boys to beat the Slugger Boys, he has to constantly be microing them to run away, stay at a distance, infiltrate, etc, etc. Whereas, oh, fuck me, I'm clicking randomly. Whereas the Slugger Boys, all they've got to do is A-move. That's it, they just A-move. I actually have a really bad habit of just clicking randomly whenever I'm on the PC, even when I'm not in game. It's because I played about 8 years of RuneScape, which is an MMO, if you didn't know, and it's grindy as fuck. So you just, and the key feature of it was that it was a browser-based game when it started, so everything that you do in the world, you just click. And because for 8 years I played that game for, no joke, 8 hours fucking every day, I was addicted like shit while in high school. I just click, click, click. I just do it subconsciously. I just started clicking. Well, that's how you know you're playing way too much of a grindy ass MMO. When you're just on the PC sending some emails and you're just clicking. You're just clicking the screen. Anyway. what's going on in the game. So this is crazy. They're really bleeding one another's economy massively. We don't see any tank busters from Alice. Instead, he's gone for tier 3. And Bbbos, well, clearly Bbbos has had the worst end of the bleed here because... Okay, we see the Creeping Basilisk Barrage. Is it going to hit? No, it doesn't look like it. Oh, he done it from the top. What? Wow, that actually made it hit. At least one squad of shooters. Not a lot of damage, but the disruption's cool. He needs to try and get the kill on the Wartruck. The Wartruck is actually providing him with so much. I feel like the Wartruck is the key to Piano's composition at the moment because every time that Bbbos gets... Oh my god, it rocks. Oh, a little bit too late. Needed to be in the retreat path. I feel like that was a really unnecessarily hasty play from Piano. Like, why did you have to drop a rocks there? I don't understand. Man, this game is fast-paced. There's a lot going on. We've seen a heavy turret drop down. What? That's crazy. He's just seen the rocks come out. That's kind of bold. Bbbos, I guess he's down in VPs, so he feels a need to protect the VP. The thing that's difficult is that the longer the game goes on, the harder it's going to be for Bbbos, because Bbbos is constantly bleeding with these Cadishans, these Stormtroopers. Everything he's got is bleeding, so he cannot really get out of tier 2. Ooh, that grenade did a lot better than I thought it would, killing another triple shooter boy. Man, there's too much going on, I can't even think what I was saying before. The truck is the key to the composition here. What I'm noticing is that whenever Piano falls into a bad sort of position, he just doesn't fight. He gets in the truck, moves to a different part of the map, exerts pressure on the VP. And because all the AV that Bbbos has at the moment is short range, you've got the... Well, I mean, the autocannon isn't short range, but it doesn't snare, so the Wartruck can sort of zip past it, lose 100 health, but not really give too much of a fuck. But there's still no Sarge on the Cadishans, which I find extremely strange, and is definitely a mistake. Having that extra melter gun against the Wartruck would be absolutely vital. I don't know why he hasn't got it. Plus, it's barely any upkeep as well. It's like 60 requisition, 20 power to buy, so it's not exactly expensive. Very curious. We see the Mega Rumbler. Now, we should have saved the rocks for when he got the Mega Rumbler. Imagine that. Mega Rumbler into a rocks in retreat. Oof. That could have been nasty. Git Finder Flash Gears. I feel like he should have just got a looted tank, to be honest with you. I mean, look, if your opponent can't kill a Wartruck, how are they going to kill a looted tank? I guess Bbbos is going for another autocannon, but I'm not sure about this play. Really strange to have seen an IG stick in tier 2 and never have purchased a Chimera, especially against the Orcs. You generally find that as quite a standard build. Stormtroopers do get out of there on time from the Storm Boys, but yeah, the Stormtroopers are having that problem. They're doing their job like they need to. They're side capping, they're inflicting as much bleed and high DPS from range on the Orc units, but it's just too goddamn macro intensive. Oh, that was close. Okay, he is going to go down. He gets it off. Cadishan snipe him. Please get the Cadishan Sarge, Bbbos. I guess at this point he's not gonna, but he really should. And once again, you see this truck being an absolute fucking pain. He's not even bought the extra armor upgrade on it. He doesn't need to, it's so goddamn fast. Aiming what's that, the Lord General, to save the truck? I think he did, I'm not even sure. Either way, it's alive. Sluggers are going to go over and heal it up a little bit. I'm not sure how I feel about the flash gates. I really do think that a looted tank would have been better. Or to be honest, even in this instance, just some knobs to get tankiness. Because, I mean, he's got nothing. He doesn't even have the Sarge and the Cadishans. Assault kit Stormtroopers aren't going to do jack shit. Autocannons don't really do anything. He's got no plasma guns. Oh, this might be a retreat wipe at last. Come on, Old Reliable. Old Reliable, please! Do it, Bbbos! Oh, is that not going to wipe them? Are you serious? 27 HP. Honestly, I'm going to be real with you guys. I don't know how the fuck Bbbos is meant to stay in this game. I checked the time beforehand. This is a long-ass game. So how Bbbos stays in it, I'm not sure. I don't know how long we're through, but let's see. Because his army composition right now is so inferior. Like, it's not even remotely capable of taking on this force. The Shooter Boys beat the Guardsmen alone, and the Shooter Boys, I mean, they're nearly level 4, and I don't know if you guys know, but Shooter Boys are pretty unique in that their level 4 boost to range damage is way higher than average. So at level 3, I believe most units are doing, I think it's 1.1 times damage in ranged, or it might be an extra 11%. It's either like 10% or 11%. They hit level 4, they go up to 16%, not Shooter Boys, because Shooter Boys so rarely do get to level 3, so rarely do get to level 4, especially in 3v3s, that a change was made so that when you do get them to level 4, they get a 30% extra range damage. So they just go boom, 10% extra, level 4, 30% extra range damage. So the increase is colossal. We even see the Stormtroopers going down at this point. Honestly, if I was in Bbbos' position, I have not got a clue what I'd do. Not got a clue. Cadishans can't even solo the Slugger Boys, never mind the Storm Boys. There's still a truck that's been here all game causing a fucking nuisance and cannot be killed. The Shooter Boys can 1v1 your Guardsman, and he's got flash kits on top of that just to make things even more difficult. Where's that second heavy weapons team? Oh, he's setting up back here. He did go for double ACs, but he's just getting overran by melee. He's doing a really good job though, is Bbbos, controlling the side VPs where the main focus isn't. I've noticed his Assault Kit Stormtroopers going over here and decapping Piano's natural quite a lot when there's been a lot of pressure on his natural, and now we've just seen the Lord General doing that as well. But Bbbos' economy is kind of getting wrecked, but because of all this backcapping, he's actually ahead in VPs, which is not something I realised. That's really commendable, because as I say, without a doubt, Bbbos' army at the moment is completely inferior to Piano's. So for him to be able to actually gain on VPs, never mind. I mean, just for him to stall out the deficit and make it happen at a slow rate is impressive, but for him to get a gain in VPs is amazing. I really don't know about the Ogryn choice, because again, what if Piano gets looted tank? He did lose an autocannon, so now he's got even less AV potential than before, because he's only got one autocannon and not two. There is a significant risk of a looted tank or a battle wagon, and you're gonna buy Ogryns. I mean, look, I understand Ogryns are gonna do all kinds of good against flash kits, against Shooter Boys, against Storm Boys. Oh, this is a problem. This mech boy is a problem. Yep, that's a mass retreat. That's what that is. Mega Rumbler is such a good upgrade. I mean, it is stunning your entire army, including goddamn vehicles, if you do not kill that mech boy quick enough. And don't forget, he can combo it with the Death Gun to teleport in, suppress your army if it's range based. You can combo it with the custom force field, so he takes less range damage and cannot be meleeed. He's such a pain. That said, I'm really not sure about this Death Gun purchase this late into the game. I think the Piano needs to get out a goddamn tank or a battle wagon. I think that should be the priority. I mean, either player in this instance, you've got to be thinking about that war truck. That war truck has caused so many problems for Bbbos the entire time, and Piano has to recognise that. Yes, it's had a couple of close scrapes, but let's face it, he's been using it a little bit recklessly. He's not even got the armour upgrade on it. Yet Bbbos has never managed to kill it. If you cannot kill a war truck, how are you meant to kill a looted tank? Disappointing rocks once again. No setup. Oh my Jesus Christ. It wiped out a Guardsman nonetheless. And this Kadashan squad is very close to dying. They might... Oh, the Sluggers were mismicroed, but they might get it still. The speed boost for Swamp Imp's too much. They're going to get it. Yeah, that has to be game. Has to be game. I think Bbbos had the same reaction to me in that there was no setup to the rocks, but then, so he felt more comfortable than he ought to have, so he didn't actually retreat, he just backed off. But look man, you got to respect the rocks. Even if someone's going to drop a rock straight flat on your head with no setup, that just means you hit that X and you live. But if you don't hit X, that shit happens. Man, look at the state of this battlefield. What's with all the red? What's caused that? Is that like creeping basilisk barrages? I don't even know. I do not even know. But either way, the battlefield is a complete mess. And wait, What? Where did the truck go down? Did the truck... Oh, the truck's here. It must have been caught out by the autocannon, I'm guessing. Maybe the Ogrins got close enough and give it a couple of smacks. Mega Rumbler just destroying the building that no one can get into anyway. Yeah, this is mental. I don't really see... Yeah, that's the end of it. I think Ogrins was the wrong choice. I have to commend Bbbos in this game for his ability to backcap. He did lose the Assault Kit Stormtroopers at some point, and the Stormboys were kept later in the game just to defend the natural VP, not even with the knob, because you don't need the Stormboy knob to beat Assault Kit Stormtroopers of the Lord General. So actually, that's a good shout from Piano, actually. I like that. Because with the improved rocket packs, they've got that insane jump range. No matter how good the IG player is at microing that Lord General or the Assault Kit Stormtroopers around, all you gotta do is you gotta jump on them with the Stormboys, that's it, they gotta retreat. So that's a good shout, and you don't need the upkeep from the knob, nor the cost of potentially losing it to grenades. But yeah, the Ogrins, man, that was such a huge investment. I feel like Bbbos maybe had a chance due to the composition that Piano went with, choosing to get the Death Gun and the Mega Rumbler late game. The Mega Rumbler was great, don't get me wrong, but that's 60 power, remember. I mean, I guess it's not like Piano was lacking in power. 510 power, what? Man, the Orc Eco is insane. It's crazy. But either way, the Death Gun set back an eluded tank. Getting the Blasters set back an eluded tank. Repurchasing the War Truck set back an eluded tank. So, if Bbbos managed to go tier 3 rather than spending the money on the Ogrins, and then used his Global instead of the last creeping Basilisk Barrage to drop down a Lehman Russ, and then just started spamming Kasrkin because Kasrkin spam plus a Lehman Rush with a Vanquisher to counter enemy looted tanks is pretty much the best endgame that IG have against Orcs. You don't really want to go for a Baneblade because Knobs are going to beat it. Tank Busters are going to cause a lot of problems against double Lehman Rush, and most likely, usually in most games, you're going to have Tank Busters to fight anyway as an IG player, because as an IG player you're going to feel the Chimera. So the lack of the Chimera in tier 2 I feel like hurt Bbbos' push potential quite a lot, but I think, you know what, the biggest problem here, and the reason why Bbbos lost this game, in spite of in many ways playing better with the backcapping and the micro and so on, the War Truck. He had no counter to the War Truck the entire game. Any competent player is never going to lose a War Truck to an autocannon and melter guns. It's not going to happen. Because the melter guns are just too short range, so the War Truck can just back off. And the autocannon, the DPS just ain't high enough. The War Truck is like speed 8. It's just going to zip through, lose 100 health, and then boom, it's gone. So long as they're not playing it super risky and bringing their War Truck around the front lines with 100 HP, it's going to be fine. It's not going to die. So I feel like you have two choices. You need to get that last cannon heavy weapons team, which, look, I know it sucks, because a War Truck is so goddamn cheap. That's why in 2.9.2 the War Truck has got nerfed, and it's gone up in cost. Or it got nerfed somewhere. I'm pretty sure it went up in cost. But it's so cheap, but you need to get the last cannon, because it's just so fast, you cannot kill it with an autocannon. If you guys follow me on Twitch, in fact no, I didn't live stream it, so if you guys follow Bbbos on Twitch, you might have actually seen my game against Piano, where I was playing in the Elite League, and I was the Tech Marine and he was playing as the Mech Boy. So pretty similar matchup. Tech Marine obviously is a ranged build focused hero, and again Piano is playing as the Mech Boy, and I had trouble dealing with the War Truck because I didn't want to go for the last cannon because he has the Storm Boys already, and the Mech Boy himself can just get that custom force field, activate the force field, teleport into you, boom, last cannon sent flying. So I got Vengeance Round Devastators and the Tactical Marines. I got a missile launcher on them, and I got some Stern Guard. So I had so many sources of soft AV, and I got the Melter Gun on the Tech Marine. So you're talking 4 sources of soft AV, right? Melter Gun on the TM, missile on the Tax, vengeance rounds on the Stern Guard, vengeance rounds on the Devastators. And guess what? I couldn't kill the fucking truck. This was on Gerillo's Forge, a tiny ass map. I could not kill the truck. I'm a good player. I've got good micro. I couldn't kill the truck. It's just not possible. You need to get the goddamn last cannon, or some seriously hard AV. You need some form of snare, so you could get Stormtroopers with a melter. Or you could, if you've got ASM already, but who's going to have ASM against an Orc, especially as a TM? Maybe if you're the APO or the Force Commander, you've got a better chance because the ASM are stronger. I don't know. We're going to see how it works out, but all I'm saying is these games that we are witnessing with the Mech Boy, with the Orcs in particular, the War Truck is the key, and I think we're going to see a lot of this in Elite League. We're going to see War Trucks dominating the meta in spite of the nerfs they got in 2.9.2, because at a high level, with good micro, War Trucks win games. And if I want to win the league using Chaos and Space Marines, I'm going to need a better way to counter War Trucks. So I think we're going to be doing a lot of fiddling with different builds. We shall see. We shall see. But as for this cast, that is the end of it. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Torpid out.